Good Saturday morning, everyone. You're listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County, sponsored by Bill Bryant, Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. And I am Greg Malinzuk, and Bob Wiltman is on the other side of the glass. How are you today, sir?
I'm just doing great. Thanks so much, Greg. And what I really like the way you do WQBQ. You get a little get that little B up there.
Yeah, thank you.
WQBQ.
You know, I work on that in the shower every day.
I love it. But great to be here for the last show of the year because, as we had told our listeners, this is going to be somewhat of a retrospective show, although we do have a tease. In the second hour, we have a special guest coming in. What do you know about that guest?
Well, I know that he's a high school kid who got a scholarship to a Catholic college in Florida here and as a quarterback, so that should be interesting.
That is interesting.
And apparently he's a football guru, both college and...
so he can chime right in.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic.
So we'll see. We'll put him on the spot.
We'll put him on the spot. We'll put him on the air. We'll put him on the hot seat.
That's right.
We'll call him in and make him sweat.
That's right.
Let's see if he can stay cool under pressure.
Yeah,
he's going to need that for football. I
think.
When
when we get done with him, a linebacker will be looking like an easy.
A blitz, a safety blitz will be
That's right.
Well, like I said, we came in with a retrospective, and this has been such an interesting, unique year. Don't they always say that when they're going to do a retrospective show? But this has been especially unique, and I know you have some individual things you wanted to talk about. I've got some, I'll call them classifications that I want to talk about.
Right.
But as I like to, you're so nice to me, I'd like to defer to you. What would you like to talk about first?
I don't want to start the show off as a depressing thing, but I have a list of notable sports passings of 2017.
That doesn't mean it's depressing.
Yeah.
It just means that these things happen. So
right.
let's hear about some of the athletes that we and coaches and just sports
right.
personalities.
And, unfortunately, there's a huge list, and I did not. We could probably spend a whole hour on the whole list. So I actually probably
don't need to do that. You can just
but we can skim over some of them.
Yeah,
but,
I think that's something. Like I said, we can do in the first segment here is just pay our respects to the sports celebrities, be they players, media, owners, whatever. So I'm all ears.
All right. So actually, unfortunately, just the other day on the 26th, the Hall of Fame goaltender from the NHL, Johnny Bauer, passed away.
Johnny Bauer, and if anybody remembers Johnny Bauer, and I do remember him from playing in the mid-'60s when I was just getting into my teens. Johnny Bauer probably was 50 when he got to the NHL, but nobody said anything about it. I know they said he died at the age of 93, and I said, I think he was playing goal at the age of 93 back in the mid-'60s. But Johnny Bauer was called the China Wall, and Johnny Bauer... back in the old before mask day, you know, if you go watch any of the old highlights, Johnny Bauer was very good with his stick, and he also got hit a ton. I don't know how he survived it, but he's a great goalie and apparently a great ambassador for the sport.
Yeah.
So I think that's very significant and very, very enlightening that you bring him to land. I mean, I think that's a good idea.
And then Dick Enberg, we talked about him last week. He just recently passed away at 82, famous broadcaster.
If you don't know Dick Enberg, you're probably too young. But anybody over the age of 35 who paid attention to sports knows who Dick Enberg is.
Yeah. Terry Glenn.
Oh, yeah, the wide receiver.
Yeah, passed away in a car accident.
Yeah, and Terry Glenn, and he was a very, very capable, good
wide receiver.
Not very big,
right?
A smaller type of wide receiver, but very, very accomplished and very good. And he played, I want to say, for the Patriots.
Yeah, he played for the Patriots, Packers, and the Cowboys.
He had a long career, but I remember him contributing to the Patriots. So that's but they're AFC teams, and then I grew up with an AFC team, so that's what I basically pay attention to. But Terry Glenn couldn't have been very old. He might have been 50.
43.
Yeah, I was going to say he hasn't been that long since he was in the league. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jana
Novotna. Does anybody remember
49.
Do you remember Jana Novotna? She broke down crying on the Queen's shoulder while they were handing out she had Wimbledon in her hip pocket and blew it.
Yeah.
And broke down at the award ceremony. Then she came back and won it.
Yeah, 98.
Yeah, she came back and won it. She was a great player. Again, she wasn't 50. Would you say?
49.
49, yeah. Jana Novotna played 15 years ago. But very accomplished. I think she won a Wimbledon. I think she won a U.S. Open. I think she got to number 2 in the world. I don't think she ever got to number 1. But she was definitely, anybody who's a tennis aficionado remembers Jana Novotna.
Right.
Sure.
Bobby Dorr.
Bobby Dorr. Now you can't
99.
I was going to say Bobby had to be close to the century mark, but Bobby Dorr was a phenomenal baseball player.
Played with Ted Williams.
And Pete Runnels or Frank Malzone and all the other old Red Sox. But but he was he's Hall of Fame, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bobby Dorr was a top-notch player.
Right.
Very good player. See, these are guys that people weren't even aware maybe that passed that were really significant athletes.
And then tragically, Roy Halladay.
Yes,
the small plane
How
crash.
horrible is that? And he was not yet 40, or was he 40?
You know what? I don't have his age, but I
think he was 40.
Yeah,
and
he was really young.
You know, and I always wonder, and it's easy for me to say I'm not a pilot, but to so many guys that get up and. It just shows how difficult it is to get in an airplane, and
right.
I don't know if it's the fact that the weather was bad, he wasn't capable, or the fact that there's maintenance things that you got to be able to check on. And,
right.
I mean,
it was a plane that he didn't have a lot of experience in.
Wow.
Apparently, so.
Well, that's like I said, and I mean that doesn't make it good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah.
It just means it's. Please, it's like buckling up seatbelts.
Yeah.
Make sure you know what's going on. Do all your double checks and triple checks.
Yeah. Connie Hawkins.
75. Played in the ABA with the Pittsburgh, I want to say the Pipers or the Condors. I can't remember because they had 2 different teams at 2 times.
Right.
Connie Hawkins was, I think, was he blacklisted somehow that the NBA couldn't? Did he have a problem? I can't remember all of the he did not go into the NBA, and he was one of the top players.
Oh no, he played for the Phoenix Suns and the Lakers.
But I mean, he did not initially. He didn't get into the NBA till he was 25, 26 years old.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know the exact story, but I think that guys who went, they were a little more reluctant of drafting those guys who went into the.
That's what you're right.
He
ABA. Went, because he took a money grab.
Yeah,
and. You're right. You're right. There was that pride thing. Oh, we're not we don't need that guy.
Right.
But then somebody got a brain and signed him.
Right.
And Connie had a remarkable NBA career.
Y.A. Tittle, 90 years old.
Yelverton Tittle.
Yeah. Hall of Fame quarterback for the Giants.
I saw the game he played in Pittsburgh where John Baker, that picture of him sitting there on his knees with blood coming down his head from John Baker hitting him. But he was. Y.A. Tittle and Charlie Connerly were the quarterbacks of the Giants for I'm going to say 15 years. I mean, Charlie Connerly played till he was 40, and then Tittle played probably till he was in his mid to late 30s,
right.
I think. But great quarterback. Now, but interestingly enough, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
He is. Good.
I was going to say, I don't remember anybody making a big deal about him whenever they'd have the old reunion shows of the Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
I didn't remember seeing Y.A. Tittle, but maybe he was incommunicado for whatever reason. But that's these are the names that I fondly remembered.
Right.
I knew some of them fast. I knew some of them didn't.
Right. Jake LaMotta, 95.
Who remembers the Raging Bull? You saw the movie.
Yeah.
He finally. Isn't that amazing? He still, even when that was 55 years ago. He was, after his boxing career, doing the stuff where he was doing comedy stuff and nightclub stuff and everything. And you remember De Niro in the movie portraying him. Yeah. And I think his wife died maybe the year before. I can't remember, Vicky or whatever. But no, Jake LaMotta was as tough a boxer as you saw. I mean, he could take a beating, take a licking, and keep on taking. Yeah. He was amazing.
And then Gene Stick Michael.
The Stick.
79.
If you're not a New York Yankee, he was a GM for them, but he played 10 years for I'm going to say 8 years for the Pirates,
Right.
and never hit over 220. He
Right.
could not hit, but boy could he field, and he was skinny.
Yep.
The stick.
And
That's a great nickname.
He's credited as the
Turning-
architect of the 1990s.
Turning around
Dynasty,
the Yankee.
yeah.
Yeah. He became a New York celebrity, to be sure, because he turned them from the lovable losers of the mid-'80s into a very, very formidable winning machine in the 90s, no question.
Yeah.
So Stick Michael, obviously more proficient at general managing than hitting a baseball.
As it seems when you look at a lot of these guys who excel in those positions, whether it's general manager or a manager, they usually are not all-stars.
No.
It's really interesting that the
But-
guys who, like Ted Williams was a horrible, horrible manager.
Yeah.
And he couldn't even relate to his players because he just couldn't understand why somebody couldn't hit a baseball.
Yeah, well, and you know what? But you can understand that. I mean, remember Yogi Berra when he was trying to, they said they had him trying to teach somebody how to hit, and finally he said, just watch me.
Right. And I am wearing my my Villanova
sweatshirt
and
because it's cold.
Well, and Raleigh Massimino was on my list.
Oh,
82.
Raleigh Massimino. See, I forgot all about
Yeah.
all that. Raleigh Massimino in the big upset.
Yeah.
Remember they beat Georgetown,
Yes.
was it? Yeah,
Yep.
Georgetown.
Yep.
And Georgetown was favored by like 20.
Yeah.
And Georgetown and Villanova went at the NCAA basketball championship. I'm going to guess around 86,
I believe
84, 86, something like that.
I think it might have been earlier.
Oh, maybe it was.
You could be right.
Oh no, I
remember
don't.
off the top of my
I
head.
don't know to be sure, but I'm trying to do from the players that were playing. I think was Ewing. Didn't Patrick Ewing play on that team?
Yep, he was on Georgetown.
So I'd have to do that with his NBA career. But but Raleigh Massimino was a heck of a basketball coach.
Yeah.
And one of those lovable. You never knew what he was going to say in the press conference. He wasn't like belligerent, but he just was honest, usually honest to a fault.
Right. Don Baylor, 68.
That's way too soon for Don Baylor. What a dominant baseball player he was.
Darren Dalton, 55.
Darren Dalton, nobody's going to remember Darren Dalton very much, but he was he must have had 50 knee surgeries, and he would come out and drag himself out in the field. He was a blood and guts catcher.
Yeah. Dave Semenko, 59. Do you remember him?
Oh, sure. Dave Semenko was he would probably be the beloved goon that you remember. Yeah. He was on with Gretzky's team.
That's right. He was the guy who took care of Gretzky.
You touched Wayne Gretzky in the old Edmonton, and Gretzky or Messi, although Messi could take care of himself.
Yeah,
but Gretzky and Yari Curry and some of the other, you messed with them. Semenko was a mean motor scooter. He was scary.
Jim Bunning, 85.
Remembered as a
Hall of Fame pitcher.
A Hall of Fame pitcher. He pitched for the Pirates when I was a kid, but only for a couple years. But he probably won.
Most notable for Tigers and the Phillies.
Yes, and did he win 100 in both leagues? I would think he'd had to have.
I
had to have. I think.
You mean
100 games in both, at least maybe even 150 in both, because he won over 300 games, I believe.
Right, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but Bunning was a stalwart right-hand pitcher.
He was the first, and I'm going to do this, and I hate when this happens. But he was the first National League pitcher to pitch a perfect game in the 1900s.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting bit of trivia that I didn't know.
Yeah. Steve Palermo, 67.
The
umpire.
Yeah. I remember him. Big jovial umpire, right?
No,
I'm thinking of a different one.
Right. He gained
what was his
notoriety when he was shot and crippled in Dallas.
That's right.
Protecting some waitresses at a restaurant he was dining at.
That's right. That's what it was. Yeah, I had another umpire with a long Italian last name.
You're talking about,
but that's what. Steve Palermo. That's right.
Sadly, 67.
That's way too young.
They told him he would never walk again, and he was able to walk with like a cane.
Yeah. So that's
Andy Marty, 33.
Now
Cleveland Indians.
I was just going to say, but he was not a substantive player for the Indians, but he played for him. But
right.
Yeah.
And Giordano Ventura.
Oh, he was
25.
He was the guy that died in
another car accident. Both of them in the Dominican Republic in separate accidents. But that's my list.
That's a list, and that's not depressing, but it's informative, and we pay our respects to their families.
Yeah.
They're all young, too young, except for Bobby Dorr, who probably outlive us all.
That's right.
But he and Johnny Bauer. But thanks for that list. I appreciate it. Now we'll come back with more good stuff on our retrospective show.
All right. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We are sponsored by Bill Bryan, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. Our phone number is 352-315-1410 if you want to be part of the action. And we will be right back after these messages. We are back with Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County, and sponsored by Bill Bryant, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. And we did our tribute to those who've passed.
Tribute to those who've passed. And if you don't mind, what I'd like to do is I've got a few names I jotted down here.
Okay.
And these were influential, and there's, again, just like your list is comprehensive, and I don't have the time. I picked out a couple people because I get frustrated. I'm going to name the people that impacted me over this past year, watching them play sports or participate in sports.
Right.
And as I'm making a couple notes to myself here, but the first person I want to talk about is LeVar Ball, and I get very upset because we are now at the point where some guy, this guy is just so desperately reaching out for attention.
Right.
And we give it to him.
Yeah.
We give it to him because this is like Anna Nicole Smith. Did anybody know she died like 3 years ago? She had, what they did, they put her on a reality show just so everybody could laugh at her.
Right.
But she feels like, I'm a TV celebrity, and everybody's watching to see how fat she gets, and then she ends up dying.
Yeah.
Before at the age of 40, and everybody goes, oh well, on to the next one. And there's got to be more to it than that. This guy is what he's done in an effort to try to get his, and it's worked up to a point to get stuff for his son that plays for
the Lakers.
The Lakers, and. But he's okay. He's a professional basketball player.
Right.
He's not a world beater.
No.
He's a good professional player. But he's not Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, LeBron James. He's not anywhere near their category.
Yeah.
But this guy built him up to be it. And nobody's calling him on the carpet on it. And now he's got two kids who probably weren't going to be able to do anything anyhow, and he sent them off to Latvia or something. I don't understand. And this guy has, while he is great with a microphone thrust in front of him, I don't see him doing any sit-down conversations where people ask him intelligent questions because I think he'd fail miserably.
Yeah.
If you've seen any, let me know because I haven't.
I avoid him like the plague.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. This is why I brought him up. Like I said, in the deepest recesses of his mind, to say, well, that little show in Leesburg, they brought me up. I mean, who cares?
Right.
But I did bring him up, but it's just because I find him what's wrong with sports.
Yeah, I find him very tiresome.
Yeah.
I don't like his shtick. And
I guess that's when I'm bringing up people. I wish I could bring up people that I'm celebrating here, but I'm not. I'm bringing up people who I call them flim-flammers. They're sham guys.
Yeah.
So I'll wipe LeVar Ball off my list to go, and then I'm going to go to Roger Goodell.
Okay.
Roger Goodell has made a travesty out of watching pro football.
Yes.
And nobody seems to care. They're paying him. They all agreed to pay him a lot more money.
He's got a $200 million 5-year contract Now, there are most of that, well, I shouldn't say most of it, a lot of that is incentives. So he's getting $20 million a year guaranteed for the 5 years. So obviously that's $100 million. And then he has another $100 million in incentives. Now, I don't know how he could reach those incentives when the ratings are down. They've lost 150 million viewers this past season.
Oh, but they'll get him. I'll be him. Oh, we'll get him back.
Yeah.
We'll get him back. All we got to do is, protest some more and, offend 1/3 of the public.
Right.
We can do it. Great. That's just great.
Yeah.
And here's a guy that didn't have the guts to take a stand.
On anything.
That's exactly right.
I mean, you name it, wife beating.
Whether it's spousal abuse,
right.
domestic violence, kneeling for the national anthem, but he didn't go anywhere on any of them.
Right.
He just stayed back and said, let's see what happens.
Right.
And what happened is you've lost an awful lot of viewers, and if you get him back, the laugh's on me, but I don't think he's going to.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if, they may get it back in years, from now. But
it's going to take a long time to
Yeah.
get it back, and I'm going to throw this in. There's something I was going to talk about later, but like I said, that what he's going. Well, no, I won't even bring the new stuff up. I'll bring it up when I bring it up. But that stuff alone that we talked about is enough to put him on my list of, oh God, why do we need Roger Goodell?
Yeah.
Okay, next, Colin Kaepernick, and the fact of the matter is, if I hear one more person say he should be in the NFL, I'm going to get sick. If he could help a team
Right.
measurably more than he could hurt it by what he's presented himself as,
Right.
he may be starting for somebody.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, he put himself in a situation where if you hire him, you look like you don't care about half your fan base.
Yeah.
Who wants that?
Yep.
The most liberal city in the country is San Francisco, and they don't want him back.
Right.
I mean, good grief! You don't show up with Che Guevara on your T-shirt when you have your press conference to talk about why you kneel for the. I mean that, and you can say, oh, talk about his rights all you want, but don't whine to me about the poor guy's not getting a fair shake.
Right.
He was a mediocre quarterback at best. And, I mean, there's lots of them out there. You're right. He could be another one just like some of the other guys, but he's kind of lit a fuse where nobody wants him.
Right.
Who did that to him?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Nope.
Did you?
No.
He did it. End of story on him, unless you have something.
Well, I do want to say that people forget that he lost his starting job and then started to kneel.
To Blaine Gabbert or whatever. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
So this wasn't like he was this, because, he went to the Super Bowl and all. Yeah, he wasn't kneeling when that was going on. It's only when he started to
when he lost his position.
Right. And I look at the Michigan coach who was his coach in the Super Bowl. Harbaugh. I don't think it was not a coincidence that Harbaugh left that team to go to Michigan because he was the quarterback. I
that's
think
very possible. Although Harbaugh did go to Michigan.
Right.
I mean, so he might. I'm returning to my alma mater, quote unquote.
Right. But I think if there, because I don't think there was a star quarterback in the future of San Francisco, and you in order to be a successful coach, you got to have a good quarterback, and I don't think he saw that in 3 or 4 years and decided to go to Michigan. That's my opinion. But Colin Kaepernick, he's just a flat out disgrace.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, only because I think the same thing. Although I think the first three that I mentioned are flat out disgraces, and I'm leaving it at that.
Right.
I'm not here to bash people. I'm just my personal opinion.
Well, I am.
My personal opinion is those are three guys I could really do without.
But I really, talk about the word of the day, tiresome. Colin Kaepernick is another one where I get so tired of people defending his right. No, he doesn't. He nobody's taken away his rights.
No,
You read, because this is what it defaults to. It defaults to the Constitution. I'm going to give everybody a boring lesson. It's the government cannot shut you up.
Yeah.
Okay? A private business can shut you up. If you're in my living room saying stuff, I can shut you up and throw you out of my house, and you have no recourse.
Yeah, that's right.
And, so when you say things, there's consequences to that. Nobody says he gets a free pass. No one has an opinion that you get a free pass on.
Well, that's okay.
And the phone is ringing.
Oh, good. I hope we get a call. But while you're talking, I've got another person on my list, and we are getting calls, and we'll put him on if he wants to get on. What do you got, Greg? Anything?
They just quickly said they disagree with everything we said. Then they hung up. So
That's okay.
I'm just.
Oh, what did they?
No,
wrong number. Okay, I'll tell you what. But those are the three guys. Now I'm going to segue into somebody that I call, and you're going to think this is silly, but I think this is insignificant, but it because the culture has made it significant to mention. And Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Now Tiger Woods has come back maybe 6 times.
Right.
And he's either got a bad knee, bad hip, and I'm not knocking him for it.
Right.
But I'm tired. Every time he's going to play in a tournament now, everybody drops. What the other guys playing great, Dustin Johnson, Justin Tom. They don't matter.
Yeah.
Now it's about Tiger Woods because we're all gonna rally. It's almost like the Kaepernick thing. We're gonna rally around Tiger Woods because he went from being the most recognizable sports figure in the world, probably, and because he couldn't keep his pants zipped. Excuse my French, and now he's. And now he's coming in as a lowlife who deserves another chance to make it back to the big time. And everybody's going to fall out. I'm not saying he wasn't the greatest golfer in the world for 10 years. He was. But he threw it all away. He didn't think it was important.
Yeah.
He did not think it was important.
Well, I do have to say that he was very good for the sport of golf.
Of course he was.
But when you talk to people who are in the know, he was a big fat jerk.
Well, that's very possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he sure is acting like it.
Right.
But you know what?
But that aside, the idea that a 41-year-old guy is going to come back and compete at a level against 25-year-olds and 24-year-olds, I just think.
And you know what? And people go crazy if he comes back and wins a major or something. But to me, there's a 6-7 year gap here that he just threw in the toilet.
Yeah.
And he has to be accountable for it. Like I said, it's a lot like Kaepernick. I mean, he made his own bed.
Yeah.
And I don't rally around it. I'm all for second chances.
Right.
But this is like his 7th one. I mean, he keeps coming back, and he keeps getting stopped under the influence. I mean, does he really seem to care about getting himself straightened out? Doesn't look like it. But that's my personal opinion. I don't know. But and the last guy that'll talk, and now we're going to get actually positive because everybody's sick of talking about him, and probably me too. But I have to tip my hat to him as Tom Brady. Tom Brady's 40. Tom Brady is kicked the Steelers' butt, and I'm a Steelers fan.
Right.
And every time he plays, but you know what? He has, and one of the things I admired about Tiger Woods when he was playing, Brady has the desire and the drive, and it matters to him still.
Yeah.
And it did when Woods wasn't goofing around. It mattered to him. He'd won 50 tournaments. He figured, I want to win the next one. Brady's the same way, and they're good for them. And so that remarkable bit of quarterbacking he did in the Super Bowl, I think, deserves to get merit. I mean, to be mentioned as a meritable performance in 2017.
Right.
And we haven't got there yet, but it may show up. But I just, like him, hate him, just like Belichick. How much success can you have and still want more?
Right.
Guy's 40, he still wants to play till he's 45. He probably will.
Right.
Will he be as good? Who knows? But I wouldn't put anything past him.
Yeah.
So there. Thank you for letting me go through my list of people in the news.
You're very welcome, and you are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryant Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. Our phone number here is 352-315-1410, and you can call in and contribute if you wish. We'll be right back after these messages. We are back with Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County, sponsored by Bill Bryant Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. And we are doing our retrospective of 2017, which I can't believe is coming to an end.
Unbelievable.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Or, as to depress everybody, or as you're getting older, it flies.
Yikes.
That's not you. That's me.
All right. I'm still a young boy.
You're another generation. You're from another generation. Wait till we have
it's great that you can lie when you're in the radio.
Wait till we have our guest come in at 11:00. He's not gonna like me, but I'm gonna grill him. I'm gonna blame him and his people of his age for everything that's going wrong in my world.
They're probably
they've stopped it. They stopped in it. They have a flat tire. They went and stuck something in their tire.
He's yeah, don't scare them because they're probably on their way.
They're on their way. Hope they're listening.
Now,
and I'm looking forward to it. Don't be scared.
No,
but I will ask you a couple questions.
Tough question.
That's right. But we were talking about why not recap the teams?
Yeah. Well,
and I know you've got a recap and just fond memories. Go down memory lane and take us through the year.
This is going to be sort of in chronological order.
That's fine.
Starting with the first big championship of the year would be the NCAA
football,
right, where Clemson defeated Alabama.
Yeah.
In 35-31.
Kudos to Clemson.
Right.
And it made Dabo Sweeney, who, if he wasn't already a legend, is now a legend.
Now he's a household name. Then there was, of course, Super Bowl 51, where the Patriots defeated the Falcons 34-28 in overtime.
After being down 28-3.
Right. And that's two things in that Super Bowl. It's the biggest comeback, 25 points.
Yeah.
And it was the first Super Bowl that was decided in overtime.
Yeah. Well.
And then the next big event was Kurt Busch won the Daytona 500.
That is a big event. Down here, it's really a big event.
Yeah.
Not that it has national implications. Good for Kurt Busch because, a lot of people picked him to win that.
Yeah.
And I thought, you never know, but he won that handily, if I remember.
Yep. And then there was the World Baseball Classic, which happens, I think, every 4 years?
Every 4 years.
So where the United States beat Puerto Rico 8-0 in that game.
And who pitched? The trivia question.
For
the United States.
You know what? I don't remember.
I believe his name was Marcus Stroman, the
Okay.
guy that pitches for, I forget what team. He's with one of the playoff-bound teams,
Right.
and he's a good pitcher. I just can't remember it. He shut him down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was the Stanley Cup playoffs.
2 in a row for the Pens.
That's
Woohoo! And I know Sidney Crosby, one of your all-time favorites. And actually, that's tongue-in-cheek because I don't think Greg is not a Sidney Crosby fan.
Well, if he was on my team, I would be. But since he's not, he's a crybaby and complainer.
Oh, okay. If you can't tell, there's a Ranger fan talking right there. Okay, but that's nice, yeah. Because and kudos to the Penguins because winning it once, like any other major championship, but winning it twice.
Well, what stood out to me in that series was Matt Murray got incredibly hot.
Yes,
and he made some unbelievable saves in those last two games. I mean, he had 2 shutouts. The last 2 games were shutouts.
But not only that, but before Murray, when he was hurt, Fleury got them in to the semifinal.
Yes.
Fleury carried them for their first 2.
Absolutely.
Murray was warming up, and one day, and all of a sudden he said, I can't go.
Right.
And that lasted for like 4 weeks or 3 weeks, and Fleury had to play every game, and he shut out Tampa Bay in Game 7.
Yeah.
And I thought, gee, that's pretty tough on the road. But Matt Murray, you're right, got hot at the right time, which was lucky for the Pens because, yes, I agree. I think the Predators outplayed them.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yep. And then there was the NBA Finals, which I still think that they need to come up with a new name. They need to have some sort of, like the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
they need
the
Vince Lombardi trophy.
Hoop, James Naismith Galactic Experience or something. Give it something. It needs a sponsor. It needs a national sponsor like, Win Dixie NBA accomplishment or something. No, but and that was
Win
again
Dixie Trophy.
That was Golden State and Cleveland going at it for the 3rd time.
Right.
And
kind of ho hum to me.
It was ho hum, and good for Golden State getting Durant.
Right.
But if the NBA is surviving, it seems to be thriving. With 6 teams that have a legitimate chance to win the championship.
Well,
30 that don't, or 26 that don't, and I think. Doesn't that kind of, And I mean, like Orlando, we're not even a third of the way through the season, I believe, or we are exactly a third. Orlando Magic haven't got a prayer of being in the playoffs. So you're going to go watch them play 55 games now, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's I shouldn't say 6. There's probably 8 teams. 8 out of 32.
Right.
When you could say, well, football's the same way. Nah, football's really not the same way. Football makes it impossible, just like basketball. You got to really be bad not to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So the really bad teams don't, but unfortunately, mediocre teams do. So there you go.
And then we can go over the golf, the 4 big ones.
Well, we can go over and also kudos to Justin Thomas for winning Player of the Year. He won the the FedEx Cup.
Right.
But give us a recap.
So you got the Masters, Sergio Garcia. I guess he was the latest player to be like one of the greats without ever winning a major.
Well, he was always the one, and some media guys stuck on him, the best player to have never won a major.
Right.
Well, thank God that one's gone.
Yes.
Now they'll pick on Matt Kuchar will now be the best player to never win a major.
And then the U.S. Open, Brooks Koepka.
Yeah. Brooks Koepka, who did an interesting thing. He, instead of trying to qualify for the American Tour, he went right to Europe and became like their second or third best player. And he started qualifying for the major competitions because they always invite like the top 6 players in Europe to play in the Masters.
Right.
The top 6, and he was getting invited. And he's an American.
Yeah.
But he did not want to go to qualifying school and do that whole 9 yards. Now he is on where he's on the tour, and he's got invitations to all of the events because he has in fact, won a major. I mean, so he played it good for him. He played it smart. Yeah.
And then I'm still gonna call it the British Open, even though.
It's the Open, though.
Yeah, I know.
There's no U.S. Open. There's the Open.
Right. Well, there is the U.S. Open.
I know, but there's no British Open. It's just.
I know. I refuse to recognize that.
I like that. I like your spunk.
And speaking of spunk, it was Jordan Spieth who won the Open,
and he did it. If you remember it, he pulled rabbits out of his hat coming down there. But you got to give him credit.
That's right.
He's sinking. He needs a 45-foot putt. He makes it. He's got to cut a wedge up and hit He hit one drive. I think it was like 5 years on it. He stayed on the golf course and he still made a par or made a miraculous bogey.
Right.
And he came through. I mean, and that's the grind of the British Open, which is still. It's not my favorite over the Masters because I'm so used to the Masters, but I love it when the wind's blowing because anything can happen.
It actually is a lot of fun to watch.
It's fun to watch.
The PGA Championship, Justin Thomas.
Who ended up, like I said, and Justin Thomas has emerged. He's now the wonderkind of the PGA.
Now, I didn't fact check this, so you tell me, but this is one of the few times that there have been individual winners in those 4 majors. Usually somebody wins it twice, wins a major, 2 of the majors in 1 year. But it was like...
it hasn't happened. Yeah, that's right.
It's been a while or something.
It's been a while. But again, and this was... Who was it? I'm trying to... The 4 winners...
Right.
Each had 6 letters in their first and last name. I think that's phenomenal. Nobody cares about that as a trivia thing, but all of the winners of the majors have 6 letters in their first name and 6 letters in their last name. And who keeps track of that?
Right.
Which is another thing about, I'll get into in another retrospective today, talking about trivial, insignificant stats. And that's one, I think. Maybe not. Maybe it's not a big deal. Sergio Garcia, 6. Jordan Spieth, 6. Brooks Koepka, 6. Justin Thomas, 6. And each their first and last name. Pretty neat.
That's a good trivia question.
How about that? Or a tired one. But okay. But I like that. Right. So there's your golf retrospective.
All right. Then we'll jump over to tennis.
All righty.
The U.S. Open, Rafael Nadal won.
What a surprise. He's an amazing player.
And then Wimbledon was Roger Federer.
Okay, and I'm going to correct you again. It's Wimbledon. But Roger Federer, God bless him. Yeah, he managed to pull that out. I don't know how many rabbits he can pull out of his hat, but he keeps doing it. Great player, and actually nice for the sport because he's a non-controversial. He's not screaming or yelling or breaking rackets, and I appreciate. And neither does Nadal. Nadal's fiery, but he doesn't like whine and bellyache. He shuts up and plays, and I like that.
Then you have the French Open where it was Rafael Nadal again.
Rafael Nadal on a slow surface, it's almost not, but it's almost impossible to beat him on clay. Almost, and for the French is clay.
Right.
You're not going to beat him. He's won it 9 times. 9 times.
And then the other one is the Australian Open.
Was that Del Potro?
Roger Federer.
Oh, Federer won that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was only two winners of the 4 majors in tennis.
Let's count the letters. No, it doesn't work for them.
Yeah. That's pretty close.
It's okay. No, that's great. See, I totally forgot. But those are the French, the Australian, the U.S., and the Wimbledon.
Right.
Dun, dun.
And then Martin Truex Jr. won the...
Martin Truex?
Yeah.
Which one did he win? He won
Well,
did he win the Indy?
No, he won the NASCAR championship the whole year.
The whole year. He was
points.
just like the FedEx standing.
Yeah.
He was the big. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Then there was the American League won the All-Star game.
Woo-hoo!
Nobody cares about that.
And who didn't see that coming? What are they, like 18-1 over the last 19?
Thankfully, they gave up on that stupid making the World Series.
That was totally irrelevant.
Right.
Here, we'll make the game worth something now. Whoever wins gets to host the World Series first game. Like, come on. Yeah.
What a travesty.
If I'm managing the team, I'm thinking, how do I get all these guys that flew all the way over here? How do I get them in at bat? That's all I care about.
Yeah.
I don't care even if I win. I want to make sure that everybody gets to play.
Right.
And they're starting to get better at that. Unless somebody has a physical thing.
Right.
They're doing everything they can to shoehorn every player that shows up into the game somehow, which is what you should do.
Well, I do have to say, now that I'm thinking about it, it was actually a very fun
Yes.
home run. The home
Yeah.
run.
Oh, yeah. Watching those guys
Yeah.
launch. But they had the guys.
Goodness
They had the
gracious.
big hitters out there. That
Yeah.
was scary.
Yep.
I mean, you could tell by, you didn't have to watch it. You could just listen to it.
Yeah.
You could tell when they hit the ball. It's going out of the park. Judge hits it. You go, oh, well, that one's gone. He'd missed some. He actually popped some up that went out by like 50 feet. So, that was incredible.
Yep.
Amazing.
So that's my list. We got another call. Hold on here.
I am going to assume that call is by somebody that we want to talk to, but I don't know that for a fact. Is it?
No.
Oh, okay. That's all right. Well,
A lot of people pranking me today.
a lot of people pranking.
Hurts my feelings.
All right. Well, they shouldn't hurt. Maybe they agree, or maybe they agree with everything we're saying.
Well,
I appreciate that.
Bob, when we say it, there really is nothing left to say after.
I kind of like that. That flies for me. So, okay. So that's your retrospective. So I'll go to my
All right.
my quick little bellyache, and I like this for something that I'm going to predict that's going to happen. First of all,
you wouldn't predict something that wouldn't happen. Would you?
The bottom line is I'm touching about, and I don't do them by numerical order, but some of the things that really, really impacted me over the year.
Right.
And I'm going to call it the asininity. I don't even know if it's a word. I think it is. The asininity of triumphant displays after making a tackle, running 3 yards, or breaking up a pass. And for a couple of reasons. First of all, I hate it on principle. You have accomplished nothing.
Right.
And I play tennis. I encourage guys when they hit a winner now to moonwalk and dance and go grab somebody and do a tango. I mean, and when people start to get sick, the only way it's going to end is when everybody does it and people get sick of it.
Yeah.
That's when it'll end. Otherwise, you're going to see more and more of this obnoxious. Now we're going to all stand on each other's head and wave like a tree in the wind. And I'm really tired of it. And here's my prediction. Two predictions. It'll permeate into the youth sports. Sure as shooting.
Right.
It's going to get obnoxiously permeating. Now you're going to watch a bunch of 10-year-olds with choreographed some kind of celebration after they score a basket or play football
Right.
or hit a home run in baseball. And you know what? And then maybe somebody will say, "Isn't this stupid?" But right now, nobody's saying it. In fact, they're showing all the
I'm
celebration.
saying it.
Well, okay, but because you're on my side on this. But and here's my prediction as I see we're getting ready to close the thing, and I just as well I want to close on this. Look for team resentment to form when quarterbacks don't participate in these celebrations because they feel they're above it. Now, the only one I've seen that participates now, Colin Kaepernick would have,
Right.
but the only one that does it is Cam Newton. Cam Newton's probably drawn up plays in the dirt that we can do after
Right.
we score a touchdown. But I don't see, and this may change too, Brady, Roethlisberger, Drew Brees. I mean, the guys that you're Aaron Rodgers, the guys that would be considered to be your top quarterbacks in the league right
Yeah.
now, I don't see them jumping in and getting into the bowling pins and stuff.
Right.
I don't see it because I think they feel it's silly, but they can't say that
Right.
because who's ever organizing all of these. I think the chickens will come home to roost, and somebody, if Goodell isn't going to stop it,
Yeah.
it's going to become. And you might say, "Oh, let them have fun." They're just having fun.
Well-
What they're doing is they're making the game. They're making the game, which I think is supposed to be difficult and played by great athletes, silly.
Right.
And I don't like the silliness and the celebration. If you want to make it part of the game, you're making the game silly, and I just don't like that aspect of it. Call me old.
I have nothing against spontaneous
Me neither.
excitement
Guys
and
spike,
celebration.
I don't even care
but,
spiking a football or throwing it up
Right.
in the air or jumping up
but
and
these
down.
choreographed
But this thing,
things
you
are
stand
just-
here and you stand here, and we need you two guys in the middle because we're going to take a team picture.
Right.
Come on. Really? Is that what we need, human beings?
Yeah.
Is that what we need out of our football games?
Yeah.
And again, I feel sorry for the young guy who's coming because
Well.
I'm going to want to know from him because
All
I
right.
think young people either demand this or we're acting like they demand it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's 1 hour in the books. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports on WQBQ 1410. Sponsored by Bill Bryan, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. And we will be right back with hour number 2 right after these messages. We are back with Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. I'm Greg Malinchuk, and Bob Wiltman is on the other side of the glass.
Why aren't you lucky? That was a rhetorical question. Maybe
Yeah.
nobody is. But I still figured I'd pose that one to see if anybody cares.
Right.
But we are going to be having our special guest. He's pulling in as we speak.
Right.
So that's fantastic. So we're really looking forward to this. If you want, they can come in and get themselves
right.
squared away here. How
Okay.
about some introductions? When we get Mark in here, we'll get some introductions.
Yes.
How's that?
All right.
Come on in.
Good deal. So, what was another thing you had on your list of?
Another thing I'd like to talk about, and while they're getting hooked up, we can do that. Good to see you, Mark. How are you? See you, Bob. One of the things I want to talk about, and I'm going to blame this guy. This is the quarterback, right? We're blaming him.
That's right.
No, I've actually, and I apologize to this for people who are Olympic fans. But if I see one more Olympian interviewed that acts like a jerk, I'm going to cry. I used to love the Olympics.
Yeah.
When it was amateur.
Right.
And now I don't care about it. I can watch the NBA to watch the the different countries playing basketball.
Right.
I don't want to hear people acting like idiots when they're interviewed.
Yeah.
And that bothers me a great deal.
Yeah.
That's just my take on it.
No, I
But
agree
you're
with
going to
you.
hear all the hype. I'm seeing all the commercials now where they show, and she worked real hard, and here's her parents helping her out, and I think, that's just fine. But somebody stick a microphone and see if she's a really nice girl.
Right.
And I apologize. Michelle Wee, I used to hate Michelle Wee because she's getting all these commercials. She didn't win anything. She's the nicest person in the world.
Right.
But please, when somebody puts a microphone in front of you, act nice. And that's what I'm going to demand of our guest.
That's right.
Mark DeShane is here. Mark,
He's a nice guy.
he's a nice guy, and he's going to introduce our special guest, and we're excited to have him.
Good morning, Bob. Good morning, Greg. Great to be back on the show.
Thank you.
So, yes, we have a special guest in from Michigan, Mr. Matthew Bezura, my nephew, who's got a scholarship offer to play quarterback at Ave Maria.
That is phenomenal. Do you know how good you got to be and I'm just posing this to everybody, to get a scholarship offer to play quarterback at a college, I don't care if it's a small one or a big one, you got to really be good.
Right.
So I'm going to assume you're pretty good. So I'm going to go out and do some. I'm going to do some slant patterns out in the parking lot. We'll see if he can throw it on a dime. You got to throw it to a 65-year-old guy. He's probably going to sit there and have a couple sips of pop, wait for me to get down the field. But it's great to have you with us.
Great to be here.
Give us a rundown. So you're from the Michigan area?
Yeah,
What
about
part?
20 minutes south of Detroit. I live in Taylor, Michigan.
Sure. Know exactly what it is. So you're so. You got to be, first of all, you got to be thrilled to be down here now because it's going to be a little cold in Taylor, Michigan right now, I would think.
Negatives, yeah.
That's cold enough. But, okay, so tell me, so you were give me the size of the school you played in high school. I mean, were you a quad, like a 4A, a 3A?
So we're Division 7. We
Okay.
have about 400 kids in our school.
Oh,
and
okay.
About a 25-man roster.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. How did the team do this year?
First winning season in about 6 years. So
That's
pretty
phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Now, had you been obviously you're a quarterback with the most, but have you been starting for them for the last year or two before this year?
I was a 3-year starter. So
Oh, wow. There you go. So obviously I figured the talent didn't just all of a sudden blossom. I'm sure well, I'll tell you what, I'm so excited for you because I'm really jealous, first of all, because I played safety in high school, and I said, I can't wait to see who wants me. Nobody wanted me. So I wasn't any good. Guys were beating me down the field and catching passes. But so tell me, first of all, the commitments you had to have made to become a quarterback with that much talent. Give me an idea what you had to go through.
So back freshman year, actually, the quarterback was a senior, so I knew I had a shot going in. But we got a new coaching staff that year, and workouts started at 6 a.m. before school. And it kind of just took a lot. I mean, sophomore year I was below average. But, you go in before school, then you have basketball practice after school, and then you hit the gym after basketball practice. And then I would go to the local field, snow, shine, rain, whatever, and throw every day. And that was kind of what it was off season. And in the summer, it's extra sleep hours, it's meal plans, it's working out twice a day along with your team activities. And on top of, you play baseball, or I play baseball and basketball. So it takes a lot, but when you want something, and like you said, big or small college, I wanted to play.
You have a passion.
You gotta do what it takes to do it.
You got the passion to do it, and it's interesting. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to ask you this question anyhow, and you kind of led me into it. Obviously, you're a great athlete. When do you start feeling the quote unquote pressure, if there was any, to only focus on the one sport, or maybe you never had that in the high school situation? You were such a good athlete, they wanted you to play baseball, they wanted you to play basketball. I mean, did you play basketball and baseball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my football coach pushes kids to play other sports.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I know. I love my high school coach. It's going to be tough not playing for him next year, but he pushes basketball because it's good conditioning, it's good agility drills, and pushes baseball. And if you don't play baseball, he wants you to play golf, and if you don't play golf, he wants you to play track, just because you can be active, stay in shape, and it's different.
And compete.
Right,
I mean, you're competing. You get to keep the juices flowing.
He wants winners, and we started out with 6 losing seasons in a row. In his first year, we were 2-7. Second year, we were 2-7. But he was trying to flip a culture. And to flip a culture, you need to have winners and being winners in every single situation.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm sure, and obviously he wasn't getting any flack from the administration. What was your record this year?
We were 5-4.
That's fantastic. And so you're 2-7 a couple years ago, and now you're 5-4. And now, give me a rundown. Now that you're going to be leaving, is the culture there? Can you be replaced and still have a winning? And that sounds like I'm not trying to get you to blow your own horn, but I'm saying, is the team ready to go on without you? Be honest.
Some guys need to step up because we had a big senior class leaving, but our running back was a sophomore. He was an all-league running back, rushed for 1,000 yards, and our top receiver, who was the backup quarterback, he's 6'4", 215, and he's 15 years old. He caught
big boy.
Caught 8 touchdowns. So they got some 2 starting linemen were sophomores. So they got to fill gaps just like we did. Because my sophomore going into junior year, we lost 13 seniors, and last year we only had 2 returning starters. So, they're going to have guys step up, but I think if our class can do it.
But I was going to say, because you guys, the development was there and listening to the coach and the protocols or whatever you had to go through are there. So obviously the guys are taking over. I'll tell you what, obviously you had statistically a decent year. But tell me, how does a quarterback from Southern Detroit end up playing in Florida? Is that something, I mean, did you have people come watch you play?
Not Ave Maria, but I had a couple Michigan schools come out.
Okay.
I was emailing a lot of D3 schools, and then I had a couple NAIA schools contact me, and that's when I was like, all right, well, I'm going to try to go bigger because NAIA can give scholarships.
Yeah.
So I was talking to a couple local schools like Siena Heights and Concordia, who I also have an offer from. And
oh, wow.
Then I just came down here, and my uncle took me to visit Southeastern. And so I'd been in contact with them a little bit, and I was looking up just Florida schools because I want to play football in Florida. It just seemed like that's what I wanted to do. So I emailed Coach Patterson, and we've been back and forth, and then kind of lost contact for a little bit during the season because he's focused on his season, I'm focused on my season. But after we met at the Fall Fest they do at Domino Farms, because Tom Monahan, the owner of the school, hosts Ave Fall Fest there. So I met Coach Patterson there.
Okay.
For a dinner, and we talked about an offer, and then I learned about the school. There was admissions reps, and so we had a little contact. And next thing I know, I get an email from Ave, Coach Patterson, and the AD with an offer, which was my first one. So it was pretty exciting. And
that's fantastic. Not only, and you got his smart too, because I don't know if you folks heard it. He said he wanted to come. Here's a quarterback. You tell me where a quarterback wants to play. You want to play in 15 inches of snow, minus 10 degrees, or do you want to play where the weather's a little warmer and you might get a chance to actually throw the ball without it slipping out of your hands? Or, I think that's fantastic. Well, give me your stats.
So,
how big are you?
I have a question on the offer. Did you get a Dodge Viper or a? I'm just kidding.
Nah,
I'm just kidding.
Well, you seem like a pretty strapping young man. What are your stats? How big are you?
A little over 5'11" and 165.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. So you're not the tallest quarterback I've ever seen, but you are obviously in shape. Is your strength your feet or is your strength your arm?
I think my strength is I can use both equally.
I like it.
This year my rushing yards are almost equal to my passing yards, and my rushing touchdowns are almost equal to my passing touchdowns. So I think it's when put in a good offense, like I thought my coach did a perfect job of using my abilities the last couple of years, is when you can do run-pass options on every single play and turn a pass to, if I make a good read, a QB counter or a running back pop turn into a Q pop left. I think when it gets put together, my size actually works as an advantage because I have more the height of a running back, but the arm of a quarterback.
And you're probably throwing a lot of things out. You're probably rolling out a little bit too. So you're
most of the time,
not trying to steer over the line. You're rolling out, checking things out. Well, tell me, high school football when I played 45 years ago, but the passing games just weren't very. They weren't instrumental. At third down, it was 3rd and 9. You were going to run your same play that you ran the first 2 plays and hope somebody missed the tackle. But obviously, how many passes were you throwing per game? Would you say in high school?
Anywhere from 15 to 30.
That's amazing. That's obviously they had a lot of faith in you.
Right.
That's fantastic. But
I think. Sorry to cut you off.
No, I cut you off.
I had. I think like 175 passing attempts and 165 rushing attempts this year. So me personally, it was split pretty even. And, we were probably 60-40 run because like I say we had a good running back. But, he averaged anywhere from 10 to 15 carries, and I had 10 to 15 carries a game, and then we would throw 20 to 30 times. It kind of depended on who we were playing and how the game turned out.
What's the coach of Ave Maria tell you? What's he got planned for you? Are they the same type of an offense? Or
He said that they will do as much as the quarterback allows them to do. So they want to open.
So they'll work around you.
Right. They want to open it up, and I got to work hard if I choose to commit there and go there to be their guy. But he said that whoever they choose, they want to, do as much as the quarterback will let them to open things up.
Well, tell me the truth. Is there a pipeline at all, or are you the first of the the Michigan guys to come down to play at Offer America? Do they usually go up and recruit up north?
I've seen a couple guys
have you?
from my area have got offers from there. I think there's 2 or 3 that I've seen from Michigan. But as far as the depth chart, I mean, how I think of it is how I thought of it my sophomore year. When you go in and the starter leaves, everyone's clean slate. So it doesn't matter if I threw more touchdowns than the guy from South Dakota or whoever they else took in. When we get there, I look at it as it's 0-0, and you got to whoever gets the highest before, after the end of camp should get the job, whether that's through the coach's eyes, but you got to go there thinking that you can do it and play your best.
Tell you what, for anybody that listening, that if you wouldn't mind sharing with our folks, we still have a couple minutes and we'll carry over to be sure. Hopefully, in fact, you're going to be here a long time. We're going to be asking you all sorts of questions you probably wish we wouldn't ask, but we're going to do that anyhow. But give some advice to, there's some seniors, guys are going to be seniors in high school in the next football season. Tell them, what do you think it takes?
Well, you gotta, in my opinion, the best thing or the first thing you gotta have to play college football is you gotta have the heart for it, because your size and your school size and everything else falls in the line after that. But I was like 5'6", 100 pounds my freshman year, and but when you have the heart to do it, your growth will come, and if you're willing to put yourself in the meal plans, the weight room, doing what your coach says, and kind of just buying into whatever program you're in, that's the first step. And then the second piece of advice is that once you get there and you clearly have the talent, no matter what size your school is or what division you're in, there's always a school that'll be willing to take a look at you. And Coach Patterson was willing to do that looking at my film, and I got to be not just Coach Patterson, but all the coaches that are taking looks at me, and it might be slim. I think I'm looking at 2, 3, 4, 5, but that to me that's a blessing to have that many schools looking at you. And while it's a struggle to get there, in the end, if you put in the work, at some point it'll show up.
I'll tell you what, we're going to be back because I'm going to ask him the big question everybody's waiting to find out about: dietary concerns. I hear the radio shutting off. I'm teasing, but I still want to ask the question. But take us out, and we'll be back with more questions for our special guests.
All right, you're listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryan Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. And we will be right back after these messages from our sponsors. We are back with the Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County, sponsored by Bill Bryan Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. And we've got a studio filled with people today.
We've got people. First of all, I wanted to again introduce our guest, Matthew Bezura from Taylor, Michigan. This guy was an all-Catholic League quarterback last year in high school, 13 touchdown passes, 12 rushing, and while playing defensive back, he had a pick six. I love saying pick six. That's one of. If we get into it, that's one of the new phrases that I'm not that thrilled about. But no, I'm just teasing. But tell me a little bit, Matthew. You're mentioning playing in an all-Catholic league. How far did you have to travel to go to some of your games in high school?
The farthest this year we played in our league games was at Macomb Lutheran North. Bus ride there on a Friday night probably takes hour and a half.
I suspected that, yeah.
But our longest bus ride this year was in the intersectional. There's 1 and 2, so we're intersectional 1 in the Catholic League, and there's an intersectional 2. We have 2 crossover games, and we played Cardinal Mooney out in Marine City, and that took us about 2 hours to get there.
Where's Marine City?
I couldn't tell you. 2 hours from Allen Park.
I never heard of it. Port Huron. Now I know.
But that was the longest.
You can
bus
speak
ride
into
we
the
had this
microphone
year.
too, Mark. Well, that's fantastic. Like I said, now does that? I wondered if that type. You get all juiced up to play, and then you get to hop in a car and hop in a bus, and you go for 2 hours, and you start. I wonder if your mind starts to wander, and you start thinking about things. I would just think that's what makes playing on the road so tough is the travel. Did you find the big advantage in playing at home versus playing on the road, or did you actually find it more challenging to have unruly fans or fans booing you?
Well, I definitely think, especially this year was our first year in school history with lights. Playing at home was a huge advantage. We had huge crowds for every game. It was pretty awesome. I say first time ever. So the first game we had under the lights, we won 56-6 with about 1,000 people there, and just alumni and everyone coming in, and probably 400 kids. We had 350 in the student section. But at away games, we definitely had our wins. A lot came at home. We had a couple road victories, but a lot of our toughest games were on the road. We played like Lutheran North on the road, and Macomb, and Cranbrook Kingswood on the road. They won their district playoff. They won 3 playoff games this year. Wow. We had to travel out there. We traveled out to Bishop Foley. So we had a couple tough road games, but I think it definitely plays a factor with the long bus rides because, you do get all juiced up and have to sit in a bus for an hour and a half. But, I kind of like playing on road games personally because you get to go into their turf and kind of like look at their crowd and try to displease them. I think it's a fun thing to do, but there's nothing like playing at home this year under the lights.
I love it. Hey, and I was just talking with also Mark Deshane was here and throwing some things off mic at us, but I wanted to talk to you about your family. How did you become so interested in football? Was it something that was passed down to you?
Yeah, definitely. I found out at the family reunion this year that everyone, my dad's cousin, my grandpa, and one of the other relatives were all, I don't know the name, but it was like the best player at Mount Carmel.
Wow.
And it definitely goes to show that it's been passed down. And my dad played college football at Albion College in Michigan.
Very good football school.
So I guess you could kind of say that it's been in my blood through my grandpa and my uncles and, my dad. But when I could walk, I had a football in my hand. And I started playing in 4th grade, and then 5th grade, 5th and 6th grade, my dad was the coach. And that was kind of the first year I really started to love it was probably 6th grade. I was actually a running back then. But, interest is definitely in football. We're big Packers fans.
I was just going to ask, what pro team do you follow? The Lions?
Well, thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, that's because Greg doesn't find the Packers especially palatable.
No, yeah, my family's all big Packers fans.
Sweet.
So I like Aaron Rodgers. My team's the Lions, but it's kind of hard to root for the Lions these days.
These days.
Well, yeah, we can go back, although, I'll tell you what, back when I was growing up, they were the team back in the late 60s. You didn't mess with the Lions. Bobby Lane and Night Train Lane and Nick Petrosani, all the old Lions. Well, yeah, you stole my thunder by bringing that up because I was wondering, how about college? What college teams did you? Obviously, Albion, I imagine, but I'm talking about big college, major college.
I was always a Florida guy.
Oh, playing to the audience, you got to like that. So, why? What was it, the colors? Why'd you like what was it about Florida? What was it about the Gators?
Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow.
There you go.
Now, there you go. Now, there's somebody that talk about a guy that knows how to pick a role model. That's pretty neat. But tell me, Mark, is there anything else that I should be asking? I've run my gamut, but I'm impressed. I give the guy the ball.
Well, I've got a non-sports related question.
Oh no.
What are you going to major in? Did you pick a major or something you're interested in?
Yeah, I've got narrowed it down to 2. So I'm either going to go into like a pre-law and take like a business course or a communications course and then go to law school, or go into chemical or mechanical engineering.
Okay.
Well, already that blows me away because I couldn't do either of those. I'll tell you what, I'm kind of partial to the law thing because I think there's always going to be lawyers.
That's right, and Bob, I'm coming back, and I want to just to tell you and show you the stick-to-itiveness of Matthew.
Yeah.
To be a Lions fan after all these years, that's commitment.
I'll tell you what, that is commitment. And, in fact, I don't know how long you've been a Lions fan, but my son went to a high school in Pittsburgh called North Allegheny, and the quarterback on his team actually started for the Lions for a year or two. And I can't tell you, his last name was McMahon. He started... Let's see, my son's 38, so he would be 38 now. So this is like 15 years ago. McMahon started. Yeah, look him up, Mike McMahon, Mark McMahon.
The only McMahon I know was Jim McMahon, who played for the Bears.
You know what they say now? Google it, baby. I'm not kidding you. You guys go home and Google it. We're not going to dedicate this show to the guy that didn't last 5 years in the league, but there was a McMahon that started for the Lions. How about that?
But
they were really bad. They were like 2-12 that year.
Lest we never forget, they did win the championship in 1957. They just didn't call it the Super Bowl.
No, that wasn't the Super Bowl. That was the who'd they play? Do you remember?
I think they played the Giants.
Giants. That'll make Greg happy too. That's your team. Well, actually, he's a Jets fan. You got some.
I'm a New York fan.
You got some nerve dumping on somebody talking about being a fan of the Packers when you are a Jets fan, for crying out loud. How many quarterbacks have they had in the last 5 years?
742.
But I'll tell you what, to let you guys know, and I'll tell you what, Matthew, I appreciate you, all you guys staying with him. We have a couple other guys in the crowd that we'll introduce in the next segment. I want to just get Mark and I want to get Matthew involved in some of the discussions. We're talking about the retrospective for year 2017, and I really have a problem. And I just talked about with I called it the asinine.
We're going to put Matthew on the spot, right?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Because he's a millennial.
Well, you're going to ask him what kind of girls he likes to go out with, and I'm going to ask him what he thinks of this. How many celebrations? What choreographed celebrations did you put on while you were playing at this high school? I want to know how many players did you ride a bus, or did you bowl?
And I'm jumping in before he even goes because Matthew will remember Barry Sanders.
Yes.
Great running back for the Detroit Lions.
Remember all the dancing Barry Sanders used to do?
All he did was give the referee
the ball official,
and move on.
Because he had class. I find that today's athlete, and only professionally, are lacking in humility, class, and respect for the game they play. And that sounds like a snotty thing. Yeah, I'm jealous. But by the same token, I want to be able... I don't want to see choreographed events. I told Greg one of the things that it's going to happen, they're going to get mad because the quarterback's not going to want to participate in the celebration because I don't see Tom Brady falling over his bowling pins. I don't see the Patriots doing that. But what's your take on it? Is that something you think is fun? Be honest. You can tell me. Say, well, you're an old man. This is fun.
I think as a player, I'm definitely more of the, I'm a very emotional player, but like my Uncle Mark said, I'm definitely more a hand it to the ref, stay focused. I'm not going to say I don't give out some, chest bumps and some
that's
screams.
Nothing. That's not choreographed.
But
that's exciting. That's spontaneous reaction to
I
it.
think as a fan, it's fun to watch Antonio Brown and, Le'Veon Bell and Juju Smith-Schuster.
I'm from Pittsburgh, and I get sick of the dancing.
I think it's fun to watch as a fan, but I have to say as a player, that's not me.
Yeah.
So if, you're asking if I was in that situation, would I be doing that? No.
But no, I'm actually asking you as a fan, is that something you want to see?
I think it depends. I mean, I think some of them are, like...
When you're down 42-3 and the guy scores a touchdown and he's doing his choreographed dance.
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah.
When you should just
Yeah, I think.
Or when a guy tackles a guy after a 2 yard, after a guy runs 4 yards and the guy tackles and he gets up and flexes. I think the guy just ran 4 yards. If he does it every time he gets the ball, you're going to lose this game. Does that matter to you? But I don't think they think about it. And I'm just curious. But, okay, but as a fan, and you are a fan, obviously, you love football. Is that something that you can't wait to see? Oh, a guy just caught a 50-yard touchdown. Antonio Brown just got a 50-yard pass. Let's watch and see what he does when he gets in the end zone. Do you do that? Yeah, and it's no crime if you do.
No, I think like I said, I think
he's lying to you. It is a crime. Be careful.
I think some of them are a little comical, but for the most part, I think it's a little carried away. But I think it also for me depends on who I'm watching. If I watch Marvin Jones catch a touchdown, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Golden Tate caught a touchdown at the Bears game.
Okay.
And him, Eric Ebron, and Marvin Jones did like a Rockettes dance. But I didn't have an opinion on that one because the Lions just went up 7-0. But if it's Case Keenum throwing to Stephon Diggs, I'm like, what's this guy doing?
Yeah, I got you. No.
So it's actually, I'm just listening to you. You're quite the knowledgeable NFL guy.
Yeah, I like the NFL.
Right.
I'll tell you what. So far he's fielding all my hot ones and hitting home runs. I got to come up with something a little bit tougher. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's talk about
favorite pregame meal.
No, I want to talk about instant replay. What's your? I feel of instant replay as you can't get every play right, and I don't like holding up the game for 20 minutes. Trying to get, we can't decide, so we're going to have Mark come. We get a couple more guys in to look at this film. Let's see if we can get it right. What do you think about instant replay? Give me a rundown.
I think in some situations
you can't be wrong. I understand that.
Right. I think in some situations it's why it's there, but I think at this point in time it's definitely taken out of hand. I mean, every touchdown, every rush, every pass, every catch. As a player, if I throw a 15-yard first down and we want to get up and keep up tempo, and now somebody up in the booth thinks that it might not be right, call an official review for 5 minutes, it kills the drive, it kills momentum. I think for both sides of the game, and I don't think that officials are meant to necessarily change the game. They're meant to uphold the game. And same thing with instant replay. I don't think it's meant to be like we have to get every call right because that's part of the game. You're not going to get every call right.
You can't get every call right.
That's why we have refs that are humans and not robots, because if we wanted it to be every call, and when you're on the flip side, of course you're going to be mad if the call's wrong, but it happens to everybody. I just think that's part of the game.
Part of the game. I agree with you 100%.
It's killed a lot of teams this year and then the rules that go with it. So
you just said something very important. I don't mind the instant replay as much as the rules that they're trying to interpret by showing the instant replay.
Right, and the biggest thing is a Lions fan, so it was week 4 against the Falcons, and Golden Tate caught a pass to go up in the fourth quarter with about 8 seconds left. And, crowd's going crazy, and then all of a sudden they call in for instant replay. Well, they determine that his knee was down, so we're all, okay, we got 8 seconds from the inch line, QB sneak, rush with Theo Riddick, what's next? And then they come out and say that if there's a overchange call in the last 2 minutes, it's a 10-second
10-second runoff. Yes, yeah.
And my take on
that
that
wipes
is
out the game, right?
The ref was wrong, so you have to lose 10 seconds. Now, I get that it would take time to set the ball, but in that case, he's already on the hash. He sets it down, they snap the ball. I think you could get a playoff. So I think a lot of the things that come with the instant replay are kind of ridiculous.
Good for you, because I feel the exact same way you do. And I always like I said, and real briefly before we go to the break, and we don't have to go forever on this, but how about the concussion protocol?
Well, I personally think that the head-to-head hits are getting out of hand, in the sense that a shoulder-to-shoulder hit, if it's any big hit now, is a flag. And that flag comes with a fine. It comes with a bad reputation. It comes with 15 yards that could lose your team the game. And I think that it's so worried about lawsuits and I'm not saying safety is lower on the list, but I'm saying that a lot of these big hits that are legal are getting guys thrown out of games, getting guys penalties for stuff that's not really, by definition, a bad hit.
Well, I agree with you. In fact, and before we go to the break, I get to throw my 2 cents in. I think it's absolutely preposterous if I'm going to tackle you on the hip and you put your head down as I go to tackle you and I hit your helmet, I get thrown out of the game or get a 15-yard penalty.
Exactly.
That was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
It happened once.
All right. You're listening to Red Zone Radio Sports on WQBQ. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors. We are back with the Red Zone Radio Sports Center, WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County, sponsored by Bill Bryant Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram.
And before we, and everybody, this is our tease.
All right.
Before I talk about for 2017, the thing that grinds my gears the most, and one of the things that's happened in 2017, Mark Duchesne, in addition to Matt Becerra, who we just talked to, the quarterback out of Taylor, Michigan, who's coming to Ave Maria. We've got a couple other guests in here. Introduce your guests to us, please, Mark.
Thank you, Bob. So I'm loaded with great nephews, and we also have Jacob and Jared Dosh from Orion Township, Michigan. Great athletes, both baseball players. Jacob's also a basketball player. Jared's also a wrestler. So the athletic talent continues to flow through the family.
Well, I'm going to have you ask a couple questions to these guys because we're going to slide this over.
all these great athletes, so this is your wife's side of the family, right?
As I like to remind everybody, I'm just a pretty face. All right, so gentlemen, here you are in the great state of Florida. Jacob, baseball, how many years you been playing now?
I've been playing about 8 years.
And you're mostly a pitcher, right?
Yeah, and I also like to do first base.
Tell everybody your best game so far.
Well, my best game was probably 9th grade varsity, and 8th grade varsity. I was just beginning, and I was on the bench, and I got my first play. I got hit with a pitch, and that hurt. But we won the game by a ton. We just destroyed them. It was really fun.
Jared, you're a fantastic hitter. What's the secret to hitting?
There really is no secret. It's kind of who you get taught by and what's your routine. Because everybody usually has a different swing, and nobody really has the same swing.
And all right, I just got to ask you guys, up in Michigan, Bob Wildman, he's famous, right?
Yep.
You all know me up there.
Never heard of him.
Okay, get this kid out of here
All
now.
And here you are, you're in Florida. So, Jacob, what's your favorite Florida team? We know for Matthew, it's the University of Florida. What's your favorite team?
Ooh, that's hard. I think my favorite team for pro would be probably the Indians. I like the Indians, even though that's Ohio, and that's not a.
That's his way of saying it's not really a Florida team. That's okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
I like the Indians too.
And Bob, you being from up north, I'm from up north. People don't really understand the absolute hatred between Michigan and Ohio people due to the Columbus influence.
It's pretty bad up there.
Jared, your all-time favorite team?
What sport?
You pick.
I'm going to have to say Pittsburgh Pirates.
Ooh.
Oh boy, there we go.
All right.
He went from being my least
goodness.
favorite. I love him. Okay.
I remember the Willie Stargell days. I remember they were good. But I don't think Jared remembers the Willie Stargell days, Bob.
He doesn't need to.
Not really.
He just likes the pirate. Arr. That's all you want, right?
All right, gentlemen. And Matthew, you come in on this one. Bob was talking about changes to the NFL. My contention has been for many years to get rid of pass interference. What's your take?
Well, yeah, we should. I think it should stay because just pass interference. I like the calls and stuff with the refs. I'm a little different than you guys, so.
Yeah, I think it'd be too much of a free-for-all.
I don't know anything about football, so I'll pass on this one.
Yeah, me neither.
Modestly disagree as a quarterback who's trying to get the ball to his wide receivers, but I definitely think it would add a little interest.
Bob, I'm in favor of all those answers except for the Jets fan that just happened to butt in.
You know what? Jets fans have never had a clue what good football is, so you don't have to listen to the Jets fans anymore. Who's the quarterback this week? Babe Parilli.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to get that joke. except
Actually,
Mark.
they called me up.
Hopefully
I
Mark
could
gets
make it up there in time, though.
Well, and this is the longest Greg's gone that I've known him that he hasn't talked about the Yankees.
I'll tell you what, before I grab the microphone back, okay, let's see. I want to hear NCAA football predictions before I grab this mic back from you. Jared, what do you think? Who's going to win?
Alabama.
All right, I like it. How about it? Jake, what
Lot
do
of
you
good
got?
I'm
air.
not a big fan of Alabama Crimson Tide, but I do like Michigan State. I know that's a pretty big rival between Michigan and Michigan State, but I think they're gonna get a good year this year.
All right. I love that. Uh-oh, he wants it back.
What family do you live in?
My last cheap shot. I'm taking those mic. Thank you, sir. I like it. How about you? What do you got? What do you think, Matthew?
I think Clemson's going to get him this year.
Do you?
You know, my comment is usually Bama's Bama, Nick Saban's Nick Saban, but this year, you know, right now their best win is Mississippi State, and you know, the game against Auburn was a good game, but the game against Auburn, and I just don't think that they got what it takes this year to take down Clemson. Clemson did drop a bad one to Pitt, but I think
wow.
I think it's going to be Clemson, Oklahoma, and although I'm a Baker Mayfield fan, I do think that Clemson's going to win it all this year.
How about that? Not a bad prediction. I'll tell you what. Well, we just got the Dosh has given us all the predictions. You can't beat that. I'll tell you what. I want to get back just real quickly because we got a couple minutes left. Greg, any big thing that we haven't covered that you'd like to talk about in your retrospective?
No.
I've got a couple things. First of all, and nobody's going to like this, but to me, the two biggest things that I'm finding fault with, and I guess that's not the way to do a retrospective, but that's the way I do it. And we've talked about this before. The insignificant stats, they got to go away. This is the fifth team to have 100 wins under the age of 30 on the east of the Mississippi. You know what? If you're that hard up that you got to Google your stats before you go on the air, I don't want to hear it. So I don't want to hear, well, he's the third guy this year. Now they're actually saying this is the longest winning streak since 2007. I said, that's 10 years ago.
Right.
Is that where we are? That we have to talk about this is the best performance of this team in 10 years. 10 years? Is that the best we got? What's your take?
Oh, I can't stand that at all.
That to me just grinds my gears. You guys got the mics too. What do you think? Are you sick? Are you sick of the I call them insignificant stats? What do you think?
I got nothing.
You got nothing. You got to love that. That's an insignificant stat fan.
I'll throw my 2 cents in. I think we need more talented color announcers. If I go back and look at the 70s, and we would open up broadcast with people doing poetic metaphors, talking about great stories where they were actually interfacing with the athletes.
That's fun. I miss them. Dick Enberg just died. And those are the guys. The guys that used to tell you a story while they were doing the game. And you love
some of these old announcers that would travel with the teams, and they'd just be so connected so that when they weren't necessarily worrying about what the pitch count was and where we were at, they were sharing stories that were actually of interest to the listening audience.
And they weren't talking about exit velocities or wars or whips, all the stuff that really matters to me. I want to know what the walks. And my favorite of all time is wins above replacement. I still want to know what the significance of that is, but somebody thought that was pretty good. And the exit velocity of the ball going out of the stadium is really important to me when I'm watching the game.
Well, I go back to it's a great book. It was a great movie, Moneyball, highlighting the Oakland A's and what they were trying to do. But they were doing that because they had a challenged budget. But at the end of the day, Derek Jeter's still going to beat you. And so you can do stats and you can do statistics and you can run programs, but talent wins always.
I love that. Okay, Greg, you're ready. I know everybody's waiting for and because I told you your number one big thing for the year.
Yeah.
Here's one that here nobody at the table is going to like this one, but here to me is the most significant event of the year, and I'm going global on you.
Uh-oh.
The United States losing to Trinidad and Tobago 2-1 in order to try to get into the World Cup soccer. That is tantamount. That is tantamount to Michigan playing Albion and losing to them. If anybody understands, Trinidad and Tobago didn't score a goal in the 4 games they played before, and all the United States had to do was tie them to get into the World Cup. They lost.
Yeah.
That is an upset of a magnitude that we haven't seen in sports in this country, and nobody heard about it because it wasn't positive.
Right.
So don't know if you guys are soccer fans, but that would be like Albion beating Michigan.
Yeah, their coach resigned. That was a
good move on his part. Yeah, I think he could see the writing on the wall. But that's my global impact for 2017. What about you? You got a couple good ones.
Well, no, I just think the NFL really Roger Goodell screwing up the shield.
Yeah.
The thing that he always talked about, protecting the shield. Every move that he supposedly would make was to protect the shield, and all I see is he's tarnished it.
Well, they've lost a lot of fans. They've lost a lot of viewers. And I would have liked to have them taken the bull by the horns just
Right.
once and show some leadership. But this, I don't care what they do. And, kneel for the national anthem. And I thought, and if I hear one more, and we talked about him, and he's not one on my list, but the Colin Kaepernick thing, he has all the rights in the world, but don't whine to me if you turn off. If I'm the owner of a football team and I have an opening at my quarterback backup spot, do you think I'm going to take Colin Kaepernick?
Right.
Half my fans are going to hate him.
Yeah.
Why in the world would I take Colin Kaepernick? But they talk like, oh, he's just having his rights violated.
Right.
And I don't know, you guys might be Colin Kaepernick fans, and that's okay. You can be one.
No, it's
but
not.
This, not for me it is, but for Greg. But what do you think?
I go back to what I said the week I was in here and you were out of town. Absolutely, they have every right to do it.
Yeah.
They do. The same soldiers that died for every freedom died for every freedom.
That's right.
But I wouldn't have them on my team because they're distracted and their focus isn't on winning Super Bowls. And then back to your comment on displays and everything they do. You sack a guy and all of a sudden you're pointing the other way.
Yeah.
That is not team-oriented. That's individually oriented.
I agree with you 100%.
I cannot win Super Bowls with people that are individually oriented, and that's the goal.
I love it.
Yeah.
How about Matthew? What's your take on what we were talking about? Now, I want to get it from a high school perspective. What do you think?
Well, I agree with, he has the right to do whatever he pleases to. No matter what everyone else's opinions are, he can do that if he pleases. But I think when political and social platform is what he's using becomes a distraction to a football team, if your coach chooses that that's not what's best for the team, I think that he has the right to do so, no matter what the political cause that you're trying to get may be, because like Mark said, in the end, a football coach, a football program's goal is to win a Super Bowl. And I think that it definitely creates a distraction
yeah.
between the players. And if Colin Kaepernick wants to choose that his cause is more important than a Super Bowl, that's fine. He has the right to do that. He can do that. I'm not going to disagree with that.
This is where I disagree with you, because that platform does not belong to Colin Kaepernick. If he wants to do that outside of an NFL stadium, he has the right to do it. But when he brings it in there as the owners, they have the right to go, you know what, you're done.
No, I agree. I think
I think there's a difference. People confuse the freedom of speech, which is the government can't tell you what you can or can't say, but a company or your dad or your school teacher, they can tell you what's acceptable. And to me, I think people meld that freedom of speech into a private organization.
Well,
and that's where they're wrong.
The owner definitely has the choice to, like what I was saying, if they don't think that he's bringing the best for the team and what his viewpoints are going to hurt the team, I think they definitely do have. While he has the right to kneel, I think they have also.
He doesn't have the right to kneel. He has the right to kneel outside of the stadium if he wants to. But once you're in that stadium, you go by the rules that are set by
owns the stadium.
the NFL.
Right, set by the NFL.
Right.
And I'm saying if they choose that that's not right, which is what happened, then
Right.
they have they can say no, you have to go.
Right.
And I don't think that anyone can disagree that, a lot of people say that he was being blackballed and this and that.
Well, and then that goes to the definition of blackball. He probably is being blackballed because nobody wants, and they're not wrong for doing it.
If he wants,
If I don't want him on my team and everybody agrees with me, does that mean that he's blackballed? No, it just means there are 32 owners who agree that they don't want him on the team. He's not worth,
Right.
the problems that he brings in.
the talent isn't equal to
Right.
Thanks for taking a very nice interview
I just-
and jamming it into the ground. Now Matthew will never come back. He'll go back. You won't believe the two jerks I just was on the radio with. But I want to thank Matthew Becerra.
Can I say something? Real quick?
Absolutely,
Too quick?
jump in.
All right, I'm going to go back to the kneeling thing. That's one of the things. And I think it's awful, but every team that kneeled at each game lost their game.
Oh,
Every team.
I like it. There's a statistic. Go ahead.
And then going back to what Uncle Mark said, he said something about like talent always beats her or something. And I have to disagree with that. I think it's an old saying here. I'm gonna go back to this one. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And hard work, if you don't have the most talent and you work hard, you'll be better than the guy that doesn't put in hard work and talent.
All right.
You got your last word. The music's on. Do you have something to say to that?
Yeah, I stand down to that comment.
All right.
I want to thank thank our guest Matthew Becerra, Jacob and Jared Dosh, Mark Deshane. This was a great retrospective. Greg, I didn't agree with the word you said, but I had a wonderful year with you, and we'll do it again next year. And in the meantime, you know who's in the booth.
Yes, Ralph is in the house.
Ralph and River Jordan is in the house, baby.
All right.
So thank you so much, guys. It was a great time. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Thank you, guys. You're listening to Red Zone Radio Sports. Thank you for listening. We're sponsored by Bill Bryan, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. Stay tuned for Ralph and River Jordan and Friends.